Hey, Vikrant here,
Hi, Vishnu here.
and today we are discussing the problems faced by international student in Singapore. So, Vishnu, let's start.
If I were to make a list of the problems faced by international students in Singapore, it is going to be a very, very small list. I have to think hard to populate that list, as a matter of fact. Singapore is a very international city, and irrespective of which part of the world you come from, you should find yourself at home in terms of cuisine and in terms of people around you as well. English is the primary language used by everybody in the country. So if you know English, you're good to go to communicate with 99.99% of the population in Singapore.
That makes life a lot easier. What about the food?
Food is easy. I think you get almost every cuisine. In terms of Asia, yes, they cater to all different cuisines. Like you would find Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, different parts of China as well. Indian food, North Indian food, South Indian food. In terms of West, it's called Western food.
That's specific.
It's on German food or Italian food and stuff like that. But I'm quite certain you can find those things, but they'll be a little pricey in terms of picking specialities. But generally, you can find Western food as well everywhere. So, in terms of food, not at all a problem.
And what about the climate there?
Climate might be a problem for some people because it's tropical weather. It's warm throughout the year and it rains throughout the year as well. Typical tropical weather.
So it's humid.
So Europeans typically love it because they get a lot of sun here. Indians are comfortable with it. Most Asians are okay with it as well. So, but on the contrary, if you don't like sun so much, stay indoors, enjoy the air conditioner. You're good to go.
Always an option. What is the situation about racism there? Because right now in Germany it has been a bit on the rise and people are very scared, and I'm just wondering how or if it's the same back in Singapore.
Okay. See, is racism a problem in Singapore? It is, but it doesn't affect most of the people in a way that it will transform your life.
Okay. So it's more
Because if I make
irritating.
a statement that it is not a problem, I'll have 1 million comments saying, how on earth can you say that? Because racism is a problem all over the world, and we have to accept that it exists in Singapore as well. But will it have drastic effects on your life? I don't think it will.
That is what is important, because for us also there's always a couple of bad apples, but at the end how many people or what percentage of people suffer from it and how bad does it go is what is quantifiable, and at the end makes a big difference in your life.
Yes.
And let's go to the big one, the money problems.
Okay. So, if you're moving to Singapore from a city which is not among the most expensive cities in the world, then you will face a crunch here, because you'll be wondering, why am I paying so much money just to eat a piece of bun? Right.
I remember that feeling.
But if you're smart enough, right, you can manage with very cheap food in the university. House rentals are expensive because real estate is expensive in Singapore. Alcohol and cigarettes are expensive in Singapore because the government chooses to tax them heavily, because they don't want to promote usage of those things or consumption of tobacco and alcohol. Otherwise, things should be fine. But yes, on an average, Singapore has been rated as the most expensive country in the world for a reason. So you can't expect things to be very cheap.
All right, and coming to the last one, is there anything else that you can think of that might be a problem for a person coming from Africa or Europe or US or Australia, India, anywhere?
Not a problem per se, but you'll have to get accustomed to it. You will see yourself paying a lot of money for the house, but you will see that the house is very small. So if you don't come from cities like New York City or maybe let's say Mumbai in India, you will not understand as to how on earth can somebody design such a small house. So I think outside of that, everything else is very organized and sorted. beautiful country to live in should not be an issue at all.
Perfect. That was then a short review of how the problems faced by international students might look like problems. I'm quoting that, but
Spoke for 5 minutes and I think we mentioned only one problem.
yeah, I swear. So at the end, I think Singapore is, once again, one of the best cities on the planet to live in. So I'm sure everyone will have a great time. Any case, thank you guys and see you next time.